What's happening, everybody? It's Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel. Thank you guys for tuning in, and once again, another episode of the Victory Formation Sports Show. As we'll dive in a number of topics, particularly in the NFL today. I just want to let you know that that's what's going on. Let me adjust some settings here, and we'll get started because we've got Aaron Rodgers, we've got Tom Brady, and we've got LeBron James on the docket today. It's a full slate, it's a full show. And we'll start things off with Aaron Rodgers. So, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, him and the Green Bay Packers, they lost in the NFC Championship game to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it was another disappointing loss because the Packers were once again the one seed and they lost in the championship game. And so now the future of Aaron Rodgers is on the table because nobody knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Now, Aaron Rodgers, the question is, should he want to leave? You got to think the team has had back-to-back number one seeds in the NFC. They've literally won 26 games in the regular season over the last 2 years. That's quite impressive. Like, should he want to leave? Good morning to you, Rolanda Jackson. Good morning, good morning, good morning. But should he want to leave? Like, what situation out there is better for Aaron Rodgers to go to than the Green Bay Packers? There's not many out there. Like, you got a few teams, but why should he want to leave? So here, I'm gonna break it down to you why Aaron Rodgers is considering leaving the Green Bay Packers. So we all know last year the Green Bay Packers in the first round of the draft took a quarterback. They took Jordan Love, not just a quarterback. They took a quarterback that a lot of people didn't know much about. If you remember, Jordan Love was the big question mark coming out of the draft. We knew about Herbert because he was at a Pac-12 school, Oregon. We knew obviously about Joe Burrow. He had just won the national championship. But Jordan Love went to Utah State. Jordan Love, through his last season in college, threw 20 touchdowns and like 17 interceptions. Like, Jordan Love wasn't that great of a college player, at least in his last year he wasn't. He was very athletic and he showed a bunch of potential. But he was someone that a lot of people had a big question mark. You can't even really find college tape of Jordan Love because he played at Utah State. And they took that man over and to replace Aaron Rodgers. So that's huge. That's quite frankly, that is big. It's big time news. And so that didn't sit right with Aaron. That didn't sit right with him. It wasn't something that he approved of. It wasn't something he liked. And so what does he do? He goes out there and throws 48 touchdowns. 48 touchdowns the year after they take a quarterback in the first round of the NFL draft. Insane. Just quite frankly, in freaking sane. And so Aaron has 3 years left on his deal. He has money. All his guarantees are paid. There's no more guaranteed money left on Aaron Rodgers' deal. And so is this something that will linger over into the offseason? What will they do? Will they go with Jordan Love? Will Aaron Rodgers demand that they make something happen? Like, what's going to happen? Because you know that they want to bring him back. You know that this is something that they want to do. They want to keep him happy because he's someone who's led them to the one seed the last 2 years. He is someone that has led the league in touchdowns this past year. He's going to win MVP, and there's a lot of good things going on. But will they be able to keep him? Somebody said the greatest loser. Well, yeah, let's talk about it. Aaron Rodgers is 1-4 in his 5 trips to the NFC Championship game. He is someone that has lost 4 straight NFC championships. That's not good. That's not good. Eric, I'm with you. That is horrible. That is something that needs to be corrected. So we'll see. The thing about Aaron Rodgers' latest comments is that he said there's no absolutes in this league. And there was a good point that I read this morning that a lot of times quarterbacks feel like they're above the team, right? Like, the NFL, as we all know, is a business, right? They don't spare any hearts. Like, they don't really care about the feelings of anyone. Once they feel like they've used you up and you're no good to the organization anymore, then they chew you up and spit you out. They don't care who you are. They don't care if you're Peyton Manning. They clearly don't care if you're Tom Brady. They don't care if you're Aaron Rodgers or Joe Montana or, you know what I mean, Terry Bradshaw. Pick your favorite quarterback of all time. Most of the time, they didn't stay with one team throughout the duration of the career. That's not by accident. That is not by accident. Once they feel like you're done, they move on. They completely move on and try and find your replacement, because it is a ever turning business. It's about who can give me the best production, who at least I think can give me the best production. And sometimes quarterbacks don't feel like they fall in that same category. Like sometimes they just like, oh, that's for the linebackers and the corners and the offensive linemen. Like, I'm the quarterback. Like, I'm the face of the franchise because I get so much money, and because the success of the team depends a lot on me. There's no way they do me like that. And it's like, no, this is still a business. This is still the NFL. Of course they'll do you like that. They've done a number of franchise quarterbacks like that. And it's going to be the same for Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen, and all those, the young ones too, Russell Wilson. Once the teams are done with them, they're going to move on. Like, they're going to move on. I literally saw a team. Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls for the New York Giants. And I saw, even though when he was playing bad, I saw them bench him. He wasn't hurt. I mean, he wasn't hurt. The man had a start streak of over 200 games, and they literally benched him healthy scratch because they thought he was playing bad. Like, that's what the NFL does. Like, they don't care. They do not care who you are, what you do. If you're not playing well, they will move on from you. Even if you started 200 consecutive games, even if you've won them Super Bowls, it doesn't matter. It does not matter to them. Not at all. Not at all. And so that's what's happening with Aaron Rodgers. He's getting a rude awakening, a very, very rude awakening that the NFL doesn't care about anybody. They care about their bottom line. They care about their money, and they care about what have you done for me lately? What can you do for me? Produce on the field right now. That's what's happening with Aaron. I mean, that's what's happening. Oh, so I have somebody's comment and says teams win. Can't say football is the ultimate team sport. Then say teams win because of players. Those 2 quarterbacks from Tampa Bay and Green Bay, they switch teams. Tampa Bay wins in a blowout. Yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah. Teams do win games. And that's why they're so quick to replace players, because they want the best player on the field. Now, what I will say about let's talk about the NFC Championship game. Muck City Kane, shout out to Muck City Kane for leaving the comment. Let's talk about the NFC Championship game, though. When it mattered most, Brady made the plays. He played horrible in the second half. Threw 3 interceptions. But Aaron Rodgers did not capitalize on those interceptions. Like, let's just not act like Aaron didn't have a chance to make plays. He didn't. He had chances to make plays, and he wasn't able to make them. That hurts. Like, that matters. Like, we got to take that into consideration. Shout out to Jair Alexander, went to Louisville. He caught 2 big interceptions, and Brady threw 3 total in the second half alone, and Green Bay was only able to score 3 points. He was only able to score 3 points. Like, that matters. Like, we can't act like that matter. That doesn't matter. They weren't able to capitalize, and a big chunk of that is on the quarterback. Now, there was some pressure. There was a lot of pressure by Tampa Bay, but a large chunk of them not being able to capitalize is on Aaron Rodgers. So we can't just act like. And when Brady got the ball, now the Packers coach didn't make a mistake. He should have went for it on 4th down. He didn't. He kicked the field goal. But when he did not pass, when he didn't go for it on 4th down, Brady got the ball, and like we all knew he would, he did not give it back. Everybody at home that was watching the NFC Championship game knew once Brady got the ball, he was not giving it back. We all knew it. If you watch football at any point of your life, watch Tom Brady play football, you knew the Packers weren't getting that ball back. That's why kicking that field goal was such a chump move. There is no loyalty in sports. Absolutely not. There's absolutely not any loyalty. And that's why I'm going to talk about him later, but that's why what LeBron James does is so special, because he put, at least in the NBA, he gave the players control, right? Like, for a long time in both football and basketball, we always saw players be super loyal to organizations, to billionaires, to teams. And then we've seen them chew players up and spit them out when they're done with them. Like we've always seen it. And then LeBron James took the power into his own hands as a player. And that's why what he does is so special. And he's like literally revolutionized the NBA game. We see it go crazy in the NBA. Now it's Kevin Durant moves teams, Kyrie Irving moves teams, James Harden forces trades. Giannis had the NBA world salivating out of his hands before he decided to stay. Like that's the difference between, you know what I mean? Like the NBA players and the way they're able to do it, and the NFL players. The NFL players kind of have to stay loyal. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's easy to say if he didn't throw those picks. Yeah, it would have been a blowout, but he but he did, and the game was what it was. So that's why it's interesting. What it says, the best players can be on the team, but if the team can't mesh well together, then the team can't win. I mean, that's true. Like that's absolutely true. So, and shout out to Styles Hillman. Shout out Styles. Brady is clutch. You cannot give him chances because he will capitalize on them. About 85 tonight. That's exactly right. That's the thing. Like that's what makes Tom Brady so special, is the fact that he can throw 3 interceptions and have a bad game. He didn't have a great game towards the end of the last game, but when it matters most, and that's why talent isn't the biggest factor when playing quarterback, right? Like obviously it depends a lot upon the team that surround you, right? But leadership, I talked about this in a video I recently did about Tom Brady. Leadership, hard work, and determination go a lot into playing quarterback. It goes a lot into playing quarterback because Tom Brady isn't the most talented quarterback anymore. He ain't no soup sandwich, but he ain't the most talented anymore. But his leadership, his attitude, his hard work and determination had completely overhauled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Before Tom Brady got there, this is the same Buccaneers team from last year. They added AB, they added Leonard Fournette. AB hasn't even played half the season, and Leonard Fournette has made some big plays. So you add a running back, and you add a receiver, but neither one of those guys would have chose Tampa if Tom wasn't there. So let's get that straight. And second of all, once you add those players, that once you add a guy like Tom Brady to your organization, it gives the whole organization a facelift. Now everybody believes that they can win. Now everybody's going to work happy, smiling, because they know they have a chance to do what they're currently doing, and with that's playing in the Super Bowl. Like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers never had Super Bowl aspirations last year. It's the exact same team. It's the exact same team. There's no different players besides the 2 players that came, or the 3 players, I guess Gronk, if you add him, the 3 players that came because of 12. Like that's how big Tom Brady is to the organization. That's why he matters so much. That's why having a great quarterback and a great leader at your quarterback matters, because it gives everybody else hope. It allows them to know that we have a chance to win every single time we take the field. Once again, this is Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel, the Victory Formation Sports Show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, because we're diving into some good NFL topics. Shout out to Styles Hillman. So another thing, we touched on Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers a lot. Aaron Rodgers, if I had to guess, I'd say he'd be a Green Bay Packer next year. I think he's going to be a Green Bay Packer next year. I don't bet that he'll leave, but there are going to be suitors. There are going to be teams that are going to try to acquire him, like the San Francisco 49ers are going to try to get him. There's a bunch of teams that are going to make plays for Aaron Rodgers. I just don't know. If he's going to be able to leave. Yeah, Johnny Parker. I forgot. I almost forgot about Gronk, but I added him. So Gronk is a big reason why Tampa Bay's headed back to the Super Bowl. So moving on. I saw this debate between, and I'm going to share my screen. I saw this debate between 2 current NFL star receivers, and they gave their top 5 NFL receivers right now. The best 5 receivers in the NFL. Leave in the chat your top 5 NFL wide receivers. Who do you believe are the 5 best NFL wide receivers? I'm going to give my list, and I'm going to show 2 current star receivers in the NFL. I'm going to show their list, who they believe, or as soon as I find it, for some reason I can't find it, who they believe, okay, I found it, who they believe the best 5 receivers in the NFL are. And I want you guys to leave your list, and we're going to dissect some of your list if you're sharing with me. So DK Metcalf and Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings, DK Metcalf obviously of the Seattle Seahawks, gave their top 5 receivers. So here's DK's top 5. I'm going to make this full screen so everybody can see it. So DK and Justin Jefferson, they were on the I Am Athlete podcast, and they gave their top 5 NFL wide receivers, and here they are. So here's DK's top 5 receivers. He's got Julio number 1, Julio Jones, himself number 2, DeAndre Hopkins number 3, Devontae Adams number 4, and Stephon Diggs number 5, which is a pretty good. I mean, that's pretty solid. I like that list. Obviously, I'm going to make some changes to it, but I do like that list. I do like that list a lot. It's pretty accurate. Obviously, I'm gonna make one big switch when I make my list. And here's Justin Jefferson's top 5 list. So he's got Julio number 1, Devontae Adams number 2, himself number 3 after just 1 year, but he had 1,400 yards and he's probably gonna win Rookie of the Year. The dude was a dog. DK 4 and D Hop 5, which I find just ultimately super disrespectful having DeAndre Hopkins number 5. And this is the top 5 receivers. So once again, Julio, Tay Adams, himself, DK, and DeAndre Hopkins. That's Justin Jefferson, the Minnesota Vikings top 5. And then DK's top 5 is Julio, himself, D Hop, Tay Adams, and Stephon Diggs at rounding out his top 5. So I am going to give my top 5 receivers in the NFL, and it's going to be similar to DK's. It has nothing to do with Justin Jefferson is completely wrong. Let's just throw that out there. So here's the top 5 receivers in the NFL according to Jeff. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. So here is the top 5 receivers according to me. Julio is right. They got Julio right. He only played in 9 games this year, so it's easy to forget that Julio Jones, the last 6 years, was the only NFL wide receiver in history to have 6 straight years of 1,300 yards. Like that's a fact. Like, it's easy to forget that Julio Jones has been that good for that long because he had a bad year. He had 700 yards this year, but the man is still, I mean, far and away, if I'm building a receiver, I want him to look like Julio Jones. I mean, I'm just be real. So Julio Jones is number 1. Number 2, DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins at over 1,300 yards. He had 120, I think over 115 catches. DeAndre Hopkins is a dog. He's a beast. He helped Kyler Murray out a ton. The Texans are still hurting the fact that they let DeAndre Hopkins walk out the door. Like, they're still sick about it, and that's why their quarterback wants to leave currently. So, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is number 2. And he was 99 in Madden for those who played a video game. So DeAndre Hopkins number 2. Number 3 is a guy neither one of these guys had on their list. And this is absurd to me because he is the fastest man on the football field in the history of football. And that is Tyreek Hill. How in the world do you not have Tyreek Hill in your top 5 receivers? How do you not have him in the top 3? Tyreek Hill, not only did he catch 80 balls, not only did he have over 1,000 yards receiving, he had 15 touchdowns. He had the second most touchdowns in the NFL. 15. And he's the fastest man on the planet. He is the biggest nuclear weapon in the NFL. That is Tyreek Hill. It's not Julio Jones. It's not DeAndre Hopkins. It's not these other guys on my list. The biggest nuclear weapon that can change the game just like that is Tyreek Hill, because there's nothing that can match his speed in the NFL game. Nothing. There's nothing. There's no one to compare him to. There's no one that's even close. There's no, like, he is the fastest player. He's the fastest player that gets the ball consistently in the history of the league. Think about it. Most guys that are like super fast or like that are return man or return specialist, they don't really play offense like the Cordell Pattersons or the Devin Hesters or the LaMichael Jameses and the Kenyon Barners. These guys are like super duper fast. They don't normally play a significant role in the offense. Tyreek Hill is the number 1 option, or the number 2 if you want to go Travis Kelce, but the number 1 or 1A option on the Kansas City Chiefs. Like he's that good. He's that fast. So, yes, he is in the top 5 receivers. How neither one of these guys had Tyreek Hill is beyond me. So Tyreek Hill is number 3. Then I'm going to go Devontae Adams of the Green Bay Packers. The man had over 1,000 yards, and he had 18 touchdowns. He missed 2 games. The man had 18 receiving touchdowns in 14 games. That's insane. That's insane in itself to have 18 touchdowns in 14 games. Aaron Rodgers had 48 touchdowns this year. 18 of them went to Devontae Adams. That man's crazy. And then Stephon Diggs. He's got to be in your top 5. He led the league in catches. He led the league in yards. He had 127 catches, hit over 1,500 yards. Stephon Diggs rounds out my top 5. Leave your top 5 in the comments down below, and we'll get to some. But, like, there's my top 5. Julio, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. Those are the top 5 receivers in the NFL right now. There's no Mike Evans from Tampa Bay. Sorry, Mike Evans. There's no DK Metcalf. Sorry, DK Metcalf. There's no Justin Jefferson. These are good receivers. These are good, really, really good players. They're amazing. Justin Jefferson had 1,400 yards as a rookie. That's nasty. That is hella impressive. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. But that is hella impressive for Justin Jefferson to step off LSU's campus and to go into Minnesota and have 1,400 rushing yards. That 1,400 receiving yards. That's just crazy to me. There's a lot of good receivers in the league, but those are my top 5: Julio, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. Those are the top 5 receivers in the NFL. Somebody seems to agree with me. Shout out to Johnny Parker because he agrees with me. Moving on, because we got to talk some basketball, and I wouldn't be me if I didn't talk a little bit about LeBron James. And LeBron James in year 18 is just something else. I swear, I feel like players are supposed to decline at some point, right? Like, you're supposed to. How sports work, the older you get, like it's like you start off, you're really young, and then you get older and you get better. And as you get better, you hit a plateau, you hit a peak. Some people's peak is later in their careers. Some people's peak are early in their careers. But roughly, it's after a while, like after a few years. In the NBA, it's normally around age 27. That's just the age we've been given. Most players are at their peak at age 27. And then once they get 27 is how long you can sustain that peak. And then you gradually decline, right? Like, that's how it's supposed to work. Like, that's how it's supposed to work. But for some guys, it doesn't work like that. Like, for some guys, they get to that age 27, or they might peak before age 27 and then just able to keep it going and going. And then eventually they die down, right? Like, that's how sports is supposed to work, right? We've literally saw it with every player in the history of basketball, except for one. And that is LeBron James. Leave your comments in the chat on LeBron James. How do you feel about LeBron James? I'm trying to get the pulse of everybody's thoughts about LeBron James, and particularly what he is doing this season. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but LeBron James is having a crazy, scary good year. He is having a scary good year 18 with no offseason. After coming in from the bubble, playing during the pandemic where games are getting postponed left and right, LeBron James is having a scary good season. And what do I mean by scary good year? The man is averaging 25 points per game. He's averaging over 25. He'll do that for another season. He'll be I think he'll be one of only a few players to ever average 25 a game in year 18 or later. So he's averaging 25 points a game. He's shooting right at 50% from the field. And he's shooting 41% from three. 41% from the three-point line. That's just nasty. Like, that is just that's absurd. It's unheard of. He had 46 the other night against Cleveland, right? His return to Cleveland. Had 21 points in the fourth quarter, and his reasoning was saying that he missed a shot to end the third quarter. He had 25 points in the first three quarters. He had 25 points first three quarters. He missed a shot to end the third quarter, and a guy from the Cavs bench was like celebrating a little too hard for LeBron's liking. And so LeBron goes out and scores 21 points in the fourth quarter. Cleveland as a team only scored 19. That's what type of mental edge this man is on this year. Last year was all about the washed king because he didn't make the playoffs the year before. And he was out to prove that he isn't washed. Okay, LeBron, we got your point. You're not washed. You can still hoop. You're still the best in the game. And a lot of people was crowning Kawhi. Hell, Kawhi crowned Kawhi. Because remember in opening night last year when Kawhi was in the car and had the little pendant on his keychain of the crown. Everybody had crowned Kawhi Leonard the best in the game. And LeBron was like, all right, I see you. And then the pandemic happened and shut down basketball. And the LeBron went on to win another NBA championship. That's how it worked. This year, he's not the Wash King anymore, but he wants to prove he can do it again. He's out to prove that he can win another championship because the thing is, players in the NBA are chasing LeBron James. LeBron James, to some folks, has always been chasing Michael Jordan. But now at this point, there's people like me and others that are slowly converting that feels like LeBron James is just chasing ghosts because Michael Jordan is in the rear view at this point. LeBron James is doing stuff we've never seen Michael Jordan ever do. He's in the rear view. The man's been to 10 finals. The man has won 4 championships with 3 different teams and 3 different finals MVPs. And the man is out of control. He's that good. He's literally that good. So this is how good he is. And this I got you guys are gonna have to fact check me because you're not gonna believe me when I say this. LeBron James this year is shooting 3-pointers better than Steph Curry. Look it up. No matter of fact, we'll look it up together. LeBron James this year is shooting a better percentage from the 3-point line than Steph Curry. That doesn't make sense. Like, how are you able to do that? He is shooting 3-pointers better than. All right, man. Because I know people are like, Jeff, it's too early in the morning to be lying. It is way too early in the morning to be lying. It's like, okay, I get it. You might not believe me. Cool. That's why they invented this thing called Google. And we're about to Google it. Because he's shooting a better percentage from the 3-point line. So let me share my screen because I want to. I don't want to be unbiased. I want to make sure everybody is able to see what I see. So look, these are LeBron James' stats for this season. This was his last game, 125 against Cleveland, 46 points, 7 3-pointers, 8-6, 2 steals, 2 blocks. And for the season, he's averaging 25 points per game, right at 50%, 49.7, and 41.2 from 3. So if I go over, tab over, this is Steph Curry for the season. 28 points per game, 46% from the field, 39% from 3. Now it's like, okay, Steph is going to continue to boost that up. But I mean, are we just going to, and his last game was just like LeBron, 7-12 from 3. The man's shooting a better 3-point percentage than Steph. Now, obviously, Steph is a more volume shooter than LeBron James. Of course, like we know, like I'm not sitting here going to ever claim that LeBron James is a better shooter than Steph. Like let's not get ridiculous. But at the same time, I'm also going to recognize that LeBron James is doing things that we've never seen before. I'm also going to recognize that LeBron James is shooting 41% from 3. Now we still have the rest of the season to play out, but I'm not gonna dispute or fight greatness. Now shout out to Sean. Sean Hobson says some athletes dominate with their athleticism. Others dominate because they're the smartest in the game, and there are rare cases when an athlete is both. That is LeBron James. Absolutely, Sean. He is that. He's that. Like you said, because Tom Brady. Me and Sean was on the comments the other day talking about how, I was asking who's the most talented quarterback, right? And a lot of people obviously think it's Aaron Rodgers. More people are getting on the Patrick Mahomes boat. But then there's like Tom Brady. There's the debate about Tom Brady. And it's like, no, he's not the most talented we've ever seen because he doesn't have the strongest arm we've ever seen. He's not the most athletic we've ever seen. Like there's guys that have had Aaron, and then there's guys that had a combination of both that we've seen. But Tom outthinks everybody. Tom is still super athletic, right? Like because the man was drafted in baseball. Like you got to be some sort of athlete. Now he's not a combine type athlete, but the man, the way he's able to play and eat and the sacrifices he makes for his body, he's got to be some sort of athlete to be able to do that, right? Like so that is what it is. But it's here. So the fact that he still has good arm strength, he doesn't have the best arm strength, obviously, but he has really good arm strength. He's really accurate. He might not be the most accurate, but he's still super accurate. But it's here. Up here, Tom just studies more. He watches the film, and he brings that leadership aspect to the game that isn't accounted for always in stats, right? And that's what LeBron does that, and he has the stats. So LeBron does that, the same thing mentally that Tom Brady does, but he also has the athleticism, and he also has the stats, and he also is just better than you, right? And basketball is a different game than like a football. So you can make a bigger impact than you can on the football field because one player can only do so much on the football field, even as a quarterback. Like you quarterback, sometimes you can play a perfect game and still lose because your defense is horrible or whatever. You know what I mean? Shout out to Harold Taylor from Cincinnati, tuned in from Cincinnati. And so, yeah, there's that. But the fact that the man's shooting better threes than Steph Curry right now is just insane. Styles says LeBron is literally a freak of nature. This man is walking triple-double, rolling out of bed with his eyes still closed. He went to 8 straight finals, that's facts. During the time, won a gold medal at one point. He's now brought a title to 3 different teams. Also, by the way, for the guys, not to interrupt Styles, but for the guys that don't think that just bringing a title to the Lakers is easy, the Lakers hadn't won anything in almost a decade before LeBron got there. Like, think about that. The Lakers have been at the bottom of the NBA. Not only had they not won anything, the Lakers had the number 2 pick twice. It was in the lottery every year for the past 8-9 years before LeBron got there. So it's not as easy as you think. So you get LeBron. And obviously, when you get LeBron, you get AD, and then you go on and win titles, right? Or win a title. So that's what happens. That's the impact of LeBron James. Same thing Tom Brady's doing in Tampa. LeBron was able to do just like that in LA when he wasn't hurt because he got hurt the first year. He said he has now brought title to 3 different teams. One team has never rated that kind of victory. The other only did it once, obviously, and the last one is known, but hasn't won in a decade or a little over. Exactly. So that was the thing. LeBron James is just simply insane. Simply insane how good this man. And so now the question is, or at least for me and to some of y'all, when will he slow down? Like, when will LeBron James finally not be LeBron James? Like leave your thoughts in the chat. When will LeBron James not be the player that he's always been? When will he finally become mortal? When will he finally look like a regular 36-year-old human being? Because remember what I said earlier? I said in the NBA, most players peak at age 27. You peak at 27, so you might sustain it for a few years, and then you slowly, gradually decline, right? So LeBron James is 36. So we're talking 10 years or 9 years past his prime. We're talking 9 years past his prime. The man's still winning titles and being the best player on championship teams. That's like unfair. It's like unfair, ain't it? Like you shouldn't be allowed to do that. Like you shouldn't be allowed to continue to be the best player on your team or on championship teams when you're in year 18. When you're the best, like it shouldn't be allowed. So now I'm just curious to see when LeBron James will ever slow down. That is the ultimate question. So yeah, we covered Aaron Rodgers. We hit on Tom Brady a lot. We talked about the best receivers in the NFL, and then obviously we finished it off with LeBron James, GOAT James, as I like to call him, as Uncle Shannon like to call him. And that is it for today's episode. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the Victory Formation Sports Show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend to come see us every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. Tune in because we're here every weekday morning. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next time.